Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Christmas and Boxing Day are done and dusted, but there's still one treat you can tuck into. It's the warm-up episode 94. It's Brady and Tom, and we're previewing the Rotherham home game. Tom, how's the break been treating you?
Oh yeah, it's been great, Brady. It's been nice to catch up with the family and catch up with a bit of town in the progress.
Absolutely. And I remember you were messaging me. You went for a curry the other day. I want to know what's your curry order? What'd you go for?
So it's actually it was a Nepalese place, so it's
Okay.
like a chef special. It's called a mash mesu.
Oh, right.
Is I don't know if it translates to something like a mishmash because it's got like chicken and prawns and beef in it. But it's like a nice creamy, nutty curry. And then a sweet naan as well. I've really got into the sweet naan now. I used to be all about the garlic naan, but now it's like, sweet naan all the way. Then treated ourselves to a bottle of wine last night, which was good.
Lovely. Well, 'tis the season to be jolly.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I once went to an Indian restaurant on Christmas Day. Instead of the traditional, and that was bloody good. That was good fun. Would recommend. There we go. Anyway, let's feast our eyes, our ears. Let's talk about this Rotherham game because it's bloody huge, Tom. It's a big one, this, isn't it? So obviously, Town lost to Rotherham away 2-1 earlier in the season. But this is definitely a 6-pointer. As the definition of 6-pointers go, this is a 6-pointer. Town need a win in this. What can I say to cheer you guys up, the listeners? Well, here's some good news for you. Rotherham. Why do I keep saying Rotherham?
What's wrong with you right now?
I don't know. Maybe I'm, like when people like try and neg people. So maybe that's what I'm doing.
Right,
Rotherham have been pretty miserable away from home. They've won just twice in 10 games. And do you know what? They've actually got the 23rd out of all. They're the second worst team away from home. Do you know who the worst team away from home is?
Town.
It is Huddersfield Town. This is my new thing we do on the pod where it's like, here's a horrible stat. Which team do you think's the worst?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Huddersfield, correct. Tom, anyway, how big is this game? This is a big game, isn't it?
It's massive. I think there's a good little run coming together. Like I'm not saying we're going to go on it, but there's a few. We've got a few games in a row where you look at who we're playing, and if we can start to just pick up a few points, it might just get us in a better position going into the end of the season, and it might not look so hopeless. It's a very big. I think it's about 6 games. Very big 6 games coming up, I think.
Definitely. And Rotherham, I'm so conscious of saying the Millers. I'm going to say that. I seriously. The Millers have actually quite a few good players, really. I feel like we do this a lot now, though. When you bottom the league, you're like, oh yeah, I'd have you in our team, and you and you. I went for Brooke Norton-Cuffy. He's the right wing back who's on loan from Arsenal. I remember when we spoke to Matt when we did the preview for the away game, he was saying he's like very impressive from an attacking perspective, and he's got 2 assists this season. So, he's one to watch out. Just because I think as well, Town seem to struggle with people who those overlapping fullbacks. So one to watch. Who did you pick as a player to look out for?
I mean, there's a couple I think that are having a pretty decent season, isn't there? There's Balaza. I can never know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but
Balaza for Rotherham.
Yeah, for Rotherham. Um, just 6 assists, 2 goals. I like Ben Wiles just as a player as well. He's one where when they were doing well in League One, I did think, oh, snap him up before they inevitably get promoted again. And then, I mean, he's got 3 goals this season, but Connor Washington's, I know it's only 3 goals, but I thought in that reverse fixture he kind of came on and I was like, Connor Washington, where's he been? But he came on and was a bit of a handful, wasn't he? And then the guy who actually was it Kelly who came on and scored?
Yeah.
He played well as well. So there's a few players that I'd pick out there that you got to look at. But it's a team that Town can match, if not better, in my opinion.
And I know in the Preston preview we talked about it like being on the attack, but we'll see because obviously it's tricky away from home, etc. But Town are at home, like they've got to win this game for me. Like this is. I don't want to put any more pressure on them, but they have to get 3 points from this if they're going to stay up. So yeah, but the thing is, Tom, the annoying thing about these 6 pointers is if you're the team that needs it more, all Rotherham need to do is get a draw, and that's fine for them, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're happy with a draw, to be fair.
Yeah. So it's a bit concerning, but yeah. Well, why don't we see what the view from the other side is on this one? So, Tom, you caught up with Matt, didn't you, from New York Talk?
Yeah, I did. I caught up with Matt again to see if anything has changed since the last time we played Rotherham.
We've lost to a pub side. We've literally lost to a pub side.
Hi mate, thanks for joining us on the podcast. So, how's your season going?
The first half of the season for us has been split into 2 halves, obviously. Change of manager, end of September now. Really good from back to front, really strong defensively, creating a reasonable amount of chances and being fairly clinical, to be honest with you. The first stage of Matt Taylor's reign was decent. I think 3 wins from the first 10 or something like that. Not epic, but solid enough, did okay. The 3 games post World Cup have been almost a disaster. That sounds a bit dramatic, but 1 point from 3 games, conceding 8 goals in all three of the combined in the 3 games. Really poor defensively. Really poor defensively. Lost our attacking edge against Stoke in the most recent game. That was back a little bit. We went to 2 strikers up front, which caused Stoke a bit of problems, but the goals we gave away are just a joke, and go and watch them on YouTube or whatever, but just defensively a joke. And that's it. That's where we are. We're conceding really stupid, sloppy goals, and we've got to stop that. Obviously, that's going to send us down. If we keep going out, we'll be in the relegation zone. Still think we should have enough to stay up. If we tighten the defence up, we'll be fine. If it goes back to the way it was at the start of the season, we'll be all gravy. But it just looks a different team at the minute, even though basically the same players are playing.
Who's a standout player for you so far?
In terms of players for exciters at the minute, it's slim pickings. That's how the performances have been. Chiog Benny's sort of continued his performance. It looks better with some next to him. Tom Eves has been decent against Stoke. I think with Chio having a bit of help up top, that will hopefully move him forward in terms of productive and scoring goals, assists, etc.
And what's your score prediction against Town?
Prediction for the game on Thursday, I would probably take a draw just to stop us being dragged too far deeper into it. But I think if we turn up, we can win. So I'll be positive and go for a boring 1-0 win.
Thank you. Bye.
There we go. Cheers, Matt. As always.
Turns out nothing has changed in the over 15 games. It's
nothing at all, basically. Everything's the same. We should have just put the last one in.
Oh yeah, definitely. It saved me on editing, to be fair. Yeah. Right, okay. Let us take a break, and you can hear a lovely ad and then we'll come back and we'll do the mailbag. Okay, it's mailbag time. Let's get into this.
You've got mail.
First question is from Neil Dickinson. He asks, how, in your opinion, should the club break this communication vacuum? Understandably, there is very little good news to report to fans, but this is exactly the time that communication is most vital. Otherwise, all sorts of rumours circle. What do you want to hear first? To be honest, I think it's tricky with the takeover stuff, and like it's been touched on, but because there's like non-disclosure agreements and all sorts, there's nothing about that. So I think it's that they can't really report on anything about that. So I think that's difficult, and rumours do circulate. To be honest, with the rumours thing, I kind of don't want them to address the rumours, because if you address a stupid rumour, every stupid rumour has to be addressed, and it creates like a bad precedent. I don't know. I think the issue is, for me, is the team's, it's not doing well on the pitch, and there's all this talk behind the scenes and it doesn't breed confidence, does it? So in terms of communication, it's difficult to ask what I want, but I suppose fans, like, we want confidence to know that like stuff is moving along. So I don't know if it's even I don't think this would appease all fans, but I almost wonder if like it's just kind of like a placeholder from Dave Baldwin. It's like, look, this is happening. Like, we can't go into the details, but this is happening. Or even if it's like, again, like, it's tricky because what can you say? But I think even something like, look, this is progressing. We've said these things take time, but I want to assure fans, like, the timescales are typical of, if it is the case, the timescales are typical of what a takeover is. I think something like that would make me feel reassured. I think it's tricky in these situations because I think if Dean's stepping away from day-to-day operations, and like, we've not really heard from Dave Baldwin, I think Rotherham is going to get targeted for that, because like he's the one in the media, so he can direct criticism to him. I don't know. I would like someone, from board level to just put out a statement, just to kind of say, like, everything's, we don't want to cause concern, but everything's kind of happening. But it's difficult because, it's tough to address. What would you want, Tom? Anyway.
I'd want to know everything. I'd want a fly on the wall documentary, cameras following Dino around day to day, like talking heads of all the players and stuff. So something like that, please, Brady.
Yeah, fair. What, like the Young Guns documentary?
Yeah, basically, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think you're right. It's you've got these things are very sensitive, aren't they? I think it had, like, the Derby takeover was very open, I feel like, and the amount of times it was like, someone's gonna buy us, and then it's fallen through. I think it's better keeping it the way Town seem to be doing it, just sensibly. But it would be nice to just have a very vague, like, here we are timeline, maybe. Even if it'd be good to know, have we even had any interest? You know what I mean? Not even. I've hardly really seen, because now when a club is being sold, you get the odd article saying, "Oh, this person's interested in so and so," and I've hardly seen any of that kind of thing either. So
I think that's if you like. To be honest, I agree with you, but you kind of only hear that with the clubs where the ownership isn't the best. So like the ones like Derby you touched on there, like Birmingham, and the guy who tried to buy Birmingham, I think he was briefing it, and obviously Lawrence Bassini, he was a bit of an interesting character. I know it's frustrating because things are going really bad on the pitch and it's off the pitch, but you spot on when you talk about Derby. I almost think no news about it is good news, you know, because you'd hope that means like things are progressing.
Agree.
And like you touched on with the Derby thing, having all those deadlines and then the deadlines are missed, that just causes more panic and more frustration. So I don't know. Previously, like in the Carlos season, they did monthly updates, didn't they? I know they tried to carry it on. Would you want something like that?
I feel like they just got very samey anyway. And people end up not. It's interesting. People ask for all this stuff, but I remember reading those, and it was just it didn't seem like the same thing over and over again. So, I think we've been very lucky the last few years of how transparent the club has been, and I think that's not a problem for us. But I think that's why some Town fans expect so much from the ownership and stuff. And maybe we've just got to take a bit of a reality check and realise, no, this is what it's actually normally like. You don't hear the ins and outs every other month, unfortunately, unless you're like a fan-owned club, which we kind of have been, but he's selling up in it, so and it's the only other thing you think is like if you became, ideally in an ideal world, Town are owned and run by the fans, aren't they? But I don't know how you go around that kind of thing. We'd probably have less money than we do with Dean in charge, to be fair.
Yeah, I suppose I'm gonna pure hypothetical here. How would you feel if like Dean came out and made did a bit of a rallying call as a statement, like in the second season of the Prem, where it's like, we're not going to sleepwalk into relegation. And I know that kind of didn't happen for various reasons, but if he did something similar and then you saw players coming in January, do you think that would lift the mood? Like, how would you feel about that?
I'd feel like it's not going to happen because he's selling the club.
Right.
That's it. From a business perspective, for him to all of a sudden be like, I'm going to spend, because it's going to have to be a lot of money, isn't it, Brady? I do think he has said he's going to do all he can to stop Town going down. But I just think it's going to be, you need money, and it's what he's not willing. It's not that he's not willing, but it's his own money in it at the end of the day that he has been pumping in for how many years it is now.
Yeah. So you mean Town aren't going to get a war chest in January?
You never know. Maybe he'll be visited by free spirits on Christmas Eve. Poke his head out.
Boy.
Yeah. What day is it? And it's like little Scott High out the window with a flat cap on. Why, it's the home game against Rotherham, sir.
It's the start of the January transfer window. Boy, go bring me a £5 million attacking number 10. That would be great. But yeah, we'll see. John Perrin asks, do you think Fotheringham is to blame, or is the background stuff to blame? It's hard, isn't it? Like, I think we touched on in a previous pod. Like, I think it's a difficult situation for any manager, and it's hard to.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. Go.
It's an accumulation, isn't it, Brady?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say if I was putting it all together, I'd say Fotheringham's maybe only about 20-15%. The squad not being good enough is the squad, and I don't mean the starting 11. I actually think the starting 11 is okay. It's the deeper squad. Like, when we're struggling with injuries, we don't seem to have anyone who's going to come in and at least give 90%, 80% of what that person was before. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot lower. So I'd say the squad not being good enough. This is where my maths are going to be really bad. So what have I said? 20% Fotheringham.
Yeah.
Then probably like 50% the squad.
Okay.
And then
so you got
30%.
30%
what's going on in the background. Yeah.
Okay.
I do think but then the squad not being good enough is kind of down to what's been going on in the background as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, like, who knows what's going to happen at the end of the season? But to be honest, if at the end of May we're relegated, I think you could do a 5-hour podcast about like all the things that have gone wrong. You know, I know we talk about it, but it's just like it's got all the recipes, it's got all the ingredients for a recipe for disaster, hasn't it? Like your most successful boss leaving shortly before the season starts. You're bringing in a club legend, he tanks. You bring in someone else, he's not doing well. Like you have loads of injuries. You have Hawkeye. Like there's loads of stuff like that. You know, like. Yeah. I look forward to us doing the award-winning podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Looking at the fallout. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's everything, isn't it? And to be honest, like it's one of them, isn't it? We've talked about this a lot on the podcast before, but if results aren't good, everything gets magnified. Whereas like this is it. Like and I think Matt touched on this, but the connection with the club last season, it felt like it was back. And I don't want to be cynical, but that's because we were winning loads of games. Like everything just feels a bit happier, doesn't it? Like, you know, some people, even when we're winning games, some people still didn't think Carlos was great. So it's just one of them, isn't it? It's a results-driven business. Look at me using business talk. Anyway, final question. Daniel Sanderson, he asks, the club have admitted that League One is a disaster, so why not spend some money and not make the situation worse? That's a really good point, Dan. Why didn't we think of that? Joking aside, but yeah, like I think we touched on it in previous podcasts, but yeah, it seems to make sense, doesn't it? You know, but who knows? As I think the thing is as well, like if we talk about this, like if someone came out and said we're going to spend 5 million in the window. Let's just say hypothetically that happened. Well, clubs know you've got this amount of money. They're going to try and get as much as possible. Agents are going to try and get as much as possible for their players. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, I don't think it's likely, but maybe we do have money to spend, and we're just like, oh no, we have no money. So we get everyone on the cheap.
Yeah. No, it's a good point because it's like you can't come out and say something and then not do anything about it. Seems to be human nature at the moment. I'm maybe getting a bit political there with climate crisis and everything, Brady. But yeah, it's like you can't just like taking notice of a problem and being like, oh yeah, that's a problem there. It'd be terrible if something happened and then not doing anything about it. Is like, it's just stupid, isn't it? So we will see come the end of the season and January mainly if anything is done about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, like if you lower expectations, anything else is a bonus, isn't it? So if you're like, we've got no money, and you bring like 2 players in, people will be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Even though if those players, I don't know, like aren't the best. But yeah, let's see. I think we're going to have a lot of questions about this with the January transfer window coming up. So we'll just see what happens, won't we, Tom?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anyway, it's You're the Boss time. So we'll let listeners in on a little secret. We recorded this before the Preston game is played. So who knows what that lineup was? But Tom, providing players aren't injured.
After that amazing away win at Preston for the first time in 53 years, Town lined up with 2 at the back, 2 in midfield, and then me doing maths again, 6 up front.
And do you know what really surprised me? And I'm surprised they registered them in time, but I can't believe they brought Hef and Andy Booth on.
I know, well,
mad,
they were a great strike partnership and they got 7 goals between them that day, which was amazing.
It was bizarre, wasn't it? And like, who needs Jordan Rhodes and Danny Ward when you got Hef up front?
No, I don't think I'll ever see a 12-11 resulted match again in my life. It was an amazing day.
truly for the ages. But okay, hopefully we've willed that into existence. However, we've talked about this. Town need to win this. They need to go for this. They're at home. The fans are going to be on their side. How attacking are you going for this, Tom?
I'm going very attacking. Not
Okay.
like what I just said, stupidly attacking, but I'm probably going similar to Watford, to the Watford line. Because when you look at their stats, Brady, they've kept a few clean sheets, but they have made quite a few errors in a defensive half and conceded a few penalties. And I think if we can get people like Sorba and Rudoni in the box, causing problems in the area. Look, Town should have had a penalty against them at their place as well. And that came from playing the ball wrong, playing the ball direct into the box. And that was into Rudoni as well. I think if we can do things like that, you're at least going to maybe get chances from there. So I think as long as Town start on the front foot, direct from the off, I'd probably go pretty similar to Watford then, and so it'd be like Nichols, Lees, Hellick, Boyle. That'd be your back line, and then Thomas, Hogg, Kamara, Ruffles, and then it was Diarra, Rudoni, and Ward. And I actually look at that and I think you've got players in there like Thomas, Diarra, and Rudoni who can get into the area, get into tricky situations, draw flat fouls in that they know. That we know that Rotherham do give away now and again. So I think mainly having players like that on the pitch to start with, to see if we can get an early goal, get some early chances in, won't do us any harm at all, to be honest. I don't know who else. I said Hayden as well for last week against Preston, and I think same might apply there. Someone who's Ruffles. I think he's a solid player, but he's not really someone who's going to run at them and maybe try to take a couple of players on. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Hayden has shown that, I think, this season. What about you, mate? Anything different to that?
I wonder if this is again for Ben Jackson instead of Ruffles. I don't know. It's easy to say like you want like 7 attacking players, but maybe the 3-4-3 works. So, what?
I actually thought Jackson was good, Brady. I think that's a good shout. I thought Jackson caused them a lot of problems at the place, and he wasn't afraid to shoot that day either.
No. So I think Lee's Hellick Boyle is pretty solid, isn't it? I think the thing is as well, Rotherham, they'll be happy to be the sitting team because a point is a bonus. So I think, I trust that. I trust that backline is experienced enough. So I'd have Kessler, Hayden, and Jackson as your wing backs, and then in the middle, I'd go Hogg. I suppose he's playing a lot of games. Maybe he could rotate if he plays against Preston, but Hogg, I'd put Kamara in there, and then you three, I would have Thomas and Rudoni, and I'd probably start Ward. I know we talked about starting Simpson maybe for Preston, but you'd probably put Ward in there and just go at them. I think the thing is as well, like you said, we've got those players, and it's hard because I think confidence is a big part of the lack of confidence is a big part of why this team's not doing well. But Sorba, for me, like he can take players on. I know we're talking a long time ago, but that game against Reading last season at home, where he's like flicking the ball over people's heads and just running at them, I just want to see that. I don't know if that's a tactical thing where he's not doing that, but just give him the license to go at him, because we've talked about this, but come firing out the blocks early and see what they've got. Like you say, they've given away penalties. They've got a mistake in them. If they're on the slide at the moment as a team, after having a good start under Paul Wharton. So just get at them, and if the crowd will respond to that energy, you'd like to think, and who knows, make it difficult from and come flying out the traps. So that's what I'd like to see. So yeah, with that in mind, then Tom, how do you see this going? I will be going to this game, so I will be doing my best to cheer the boys on.
2-1 Town, 2-1 win. Praying for that. Come on, Christmas miracle, New Year's miracle, new year, new me. That's what Fotheringham should write on the whiteboard before they go out.
To be fair, it's not that much different to Believe from Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Right. I think this game will probably be a draw. However, I had predicted us to beat Preston. So if we do beat Preston, a draw. If we don't beat Preston and we get a draw there or lose, I think we'll win 1-0 here. So there you go, 2 predictions. But just have a feeling it'll be a draw because I can just...
Yeah, and it's going to be a very tight game, isn't it? It's going to be a very tight game.
But we will see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, though. It's never dull supporting Town, is it?
No, exactly.
Right. So that's it. So, Tom, this will be the last pod of 2022, last warm-up pod. Is there anything you'd like to say to listeners before we go?
No, not really. Thanks for listening.
Couldn't even pretend.
No, if you do listen, I thank you for listening. I mean, it is it's mad that people actually listen to us two talk, to be fair. That's all I think every time I sit here. I've got to the stage where I don't even really remember that we put it out as a podcast now. I just feel like every other week I get on a Zoom call with you for some reason and talk about Town. So.
It does feel like that, but then I see all the questions and I'm like, oh yeah, people do listen. I forgot. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, great stuff. Well, no, I hope everyone, if you're celebrating, have a good New Year. If you're going out for New Year, top advice: New Year's never as good as you think it's going to be. So again, we talked about it with the transfer window. Lower your expectations, you'll have a good time. But have a good one. We will be back in 2023, and Amazing Elbow will be back then.
It will.
We will have guests then as well. So
we will.
Exciting times. And that'll do us. Ta-ta for now and up the Town.
Up the Town.
So Town, play up, bring the car back to Huddersfield.